All right. I think I unmuted myself. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing out there on this wonderful Friday evening? Hopefully, you guys are not frying at the moment because it is a little hot outside and we're frying without grease on today. But I just wanted to welcome you guys to the hub on this evening. I am your host, Shirlene Witchard, and I have a treat for you on tonight. Somebody say tonight, tonight. Yes. I am so excited about tonight. I'm so glad that you've chosen to spend this part of your evening with us on tonight. The hub is where ministry and community meet. Tonight's conversation is one that I believe will inspire, educate, and encourage anyone who's ever dreamed of becoming a homeowner. Our topic on tonight is behind the keys, the good, the bad, and the unexpected about home buying. We often see, the smiling faces, the closing photos, and the keys in the hand on social media, but we don't always hear about the questions, the uncertainty, the waiting, the paperwork, and the moments when you wonder if it's all going to work out. This is what we're going to tackle on tonight. We're going to go in on tonight being as transparent as possible so that whoever wants to buy a home, been thinking about it, you will have the tools that you need. Tonight, we're pulling back that curtain. I'm especially excited because our guests aren't industrial professionals. They're not the industry professionals, I'm sorry, sharing theories. They're first time home buyers sharing their real experiences. This is real tonight. I had the privilege of walking alongside them during their home buying journey, and tonight they're here to tell their story with honesty and transparency. It doesn't matter whether you're thinking about buying your first home somewhere in the middle, as I've said earlier, or simply curious about the process. Tonight is your night. This conversation is for you. So go ahead and grab your notebooks on tonight. Go ahead and invite someone who's been talking about home buying. Go ahead and share this live on tonight. Tag and share at least two people on tonight for this honest conversation about what it really means to receive the keys. Let's get into tonight's episode of The Hub on tonight. Please help me welcome our featured guests, Chris and Adrian Walker and Tremaine Brown. Yes. Hear the music on tonight. I don't have the music on tonight to cue, but you get my drift on tonight. I'm so excited to see them. Thank you all for being here and for being willing to share your home ownership journey with us on tonight. I just wanted to clear the airways as we begin to jump into it on tonight. I'm so excited on tonight to have each and every one of you guys on tonight. How was your day on today? Did you guys have a good day on today? Were you nervous about tonight? I know you're excited to be here, but tell me a little bit about your day. Did you have a good day today? I'm going to start with Tremaine.
Yes, it was great. Started the morning out with some good prayer and some good fellowship, and I got all my work done before 12:30.
What? Oh, you was on a roll today. That's always a good thing. You was on a roll on today. Even in this heat, you got everything done. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Walker family, how was your day today?
Hot, busy, moving around early this morning.
Went to Busch Gardens.
Oh, okay. Y'all was out early this morning. Y'all was
Yes,
in heat. Woo. Did you all have a good time?
We did.
we did.
Yes. Okay, good, good. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. So now that we've gotten all of the preliminaries out of the way, the reason we are here tonight is to share you guys' experience in buying your first home. So I'm going to open up with the first question on tonight. A lot of time On Facebook Live, we will have all other questions that people will ask of you guys on tonight. So I know you guys are prepared, but let's jump right in because I'm excited. So, the first question: what made you decide that now was the right time to buy instead of continuing to rent? I'm going to give that to the Walker family first.
For us, it was a good time to buy because our lease was coming to an end anyway. And we just didn't want to rent anymore because the rent was going up and the quality wasn't, it didn't match how much it was going up. They weren't really doing anything to the apartment as far as upgrades to justify raising the rent. So they would do things like change out the flower bed in front of the office every other month to justify like raising the price, if that makes sense. So we didn't
Okay.
want to do it anymore. And if we had re-signed a lease, we would have to wait a whole nother year. And, you know, in this industry, timing is everything. And in our instance, it worked out in our favor.
Yes, yes, I love it. I love to hear it. Timing is everything. And I wanted to bring that point back around to you guys about the apartment and everything. I didn't say this at the beginning of the hub, but the Walker family are newlyweds. Okay, so time is of an essence. We're excited about getting into their first home, and I think that they made an amazing decision. I'm going to ask you the same question, Tremaine, on tonight. What made you want to get into renting as opposed, I mean, buying as opposed to renting?
Legacy. I
Okay,
rent in the first place. So
okay,
I felt
okay.
dollars just go to somebody else's mortgage that year. I was like, something got to shake. So legacy. I definitely think that it's important for me to have things that pass down to my children.
Okay, I love it. I love that. And so what you're saying is, real estate is a vehicle to generational wealth. Is that what you're saying? Okay, so that's where you saw everything going. I like that. Y'all got some amazing points already. Already. So Tremaine, this is for you. Before we started working together, what was your biggest fear about buying a home?
Just not getting what I wanted. You know, the house that I lived in was what I wanted. So
Okay.
we didn't want to be. But I definitely didn't want to settle with what I didn't want either. And baby, I got what I wanted.
Okay, okay, all right. So you mean to tell me that even though, the timing, as Adrian has said, that in this industry, timing is everything. So when it came to your home buying journey and when you bought, could you say that in that case that if you may have waited a little longer, you may have missed some of the incentives that you received?
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
I'm going to ask the Walkers the same question on tonight. Before we started working together, what was your biggest fear about buying a home? Biggest.
Um, not finding what we wanted, and then looking online, people having pictures up there, and then when you go to the actual place, it don't look nothing like what you've seen in the pictures. So
Cats. Ugh.
yeah, that was bad.
I'm laughing because I remember it. I remember our journey and Adrian already knew, pretty much what she was looking for and what she wanted. And Chris is one that loves to use his hands. He knows how to build from the ground up. So he was using, his wisdom on the other end and he really wanted to just see what was out there. They had homes that were renovated and everything. And listen, Adrian, listen, allotted him the time. She let him go right on ahead. Any property that he wanted to look at, we were there. And I hope I have a minute for this quick one. We went to the first house, and I'm telling you, we drove up. I thought everything was all okay. We drove up, and Chris went around the back. He went around the outside. We went on the inside, and I noticed he jetted around the outside. But by the time he came in, he didn't even really want to look in the inside. And so online, he made a valid point. Online, pictures look like one thing. And then once you go there, then it just may not fit you. So I think that it just you have to take that time to go out and look to be able to say that. However, just keep an open mind. When you go out there, know what you want. That way, when you show up, if it's not it, we already know. We can jump right back in the car and we can
Right.
go on ahead. Okay, so let me ask you guys this on tonight. Did you ever think becoming a homeowner wasn't possible? Anytime in your life, even in the process of buying a home, did you ever think that this was something that you could not obtain anywhere in the process or even before you got in the process? That goes to the walkers first.
Um, I would say for me, um, yes. No, it definitely wasn't an issue. I always knew I would be a homeowner. It was just a matter of when. And my grandmom was a homeowner. It skipped a generation. And so then it's like, okay, I want to own a home. I want something that's mine. So it was just a matter of when for me.
Okay, 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 I like that. So I'm not gonna ask Tremaine the same question. I'm gonna go on to another question on tonight. Before buying, Tremaine, what was the biggest myth you believed about home ownership?
You needed a lot of cash to start looking.
Mm. When you say you needed a lot of cash, can you elaborate on that for some of our listeners tonight?
Yeah, I really thought I needed to get to where I had $20,000 cash for a down payment.
Hmm.
Um, but even if I wasn't a veteran, I didn't.
Hmm.
So
That's right.
that was a big myth. I never, even though I've been a homeowner before, I've never been part of this process.
That's good. That's right. That's good.
Cash and how the numbers work. I was just like, yeah, this is impossible. Like this, is,
Mhm.
but it was
Okay, that's good. That's good. So let me ask you. So even with that myth, what was that turning point when you found out that you didn't need $20,000 to come out to buy a home? At that point, what did that make you feel like?
relieved and also like duped at the same time because when you really,
Can't hear you.
you can't hear
Are
me.
you unmuted?
Hmm?
Yes.
Yes, you can't hear it. No.
Yeah. It's not letting her.
Oh yeah, I'm unmuted.
Okay, okay. Hopefully we'll get on. I can get you with another question. We'll work on that in Jesus' name. But we bless God for it on tonight. What I'm gonna do is move that question and to Adrian and Chris on tonight. Before buying, what was the biggest myth that you believed about home ownership? What was the biggest thing that you thought about home ownership, but it turned out not to be that?
Um, it goes along with what Evangelist Tremaine was saying about the money, but it was more so you had to have perfect credit. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay, you guys, I'm told that everyone can hear you guys. I'm sorry. I'm the one that can't. I don't know what that's about.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Okay, you all just keep talking. Um, so okay. Okay, let me see.
yeah, that's one thing that I and for me the perfect credit because I'm like, what score are we for? Because every lender has a different,
Right.
like measure, you know. So
Okay,
Right. It was
good.
it
Good.
was definitely that because you go and and like the VA loan has their own credit score limit, and I went in and I was honest. I said, listen, I have I got a couple things on there, and they were like, you're qualified. So and for the uh mortgage loan officer to say that and say you're phenomenally qualified, I could have, or we could have just, not went through with it because of our fear. Because
Mm,
nobody said we weren't qualified. We were.
right.
We were phenomenally qualified. So yeah.
I like that. I like that. Let's dig into that. I can hear everyone now. Thank goodness. I don't know what that was about, but let's dig into that. So fear. So you said if you guys were qualified already, however, fear could have stopped you. I guess not thinking that you guys were qualified enough or could even get approved for what you have gotten approved for. So let's talk about fear a little while. So even with you guys feeling that way, what really helped you guys move forward beyond the fear?
Really, with the people saying that we was qualified, uh, like Minister Tremaine said, think that we had to have all this money
Mm.
saved or set to the side, and then when they said it was qualified, like, oh man, we was all nervous for no reason. But
Oh,
it
that's
may have been
always
a
a
good
good
thing though.
thing. That's a good thing when it turned out to be, oh wow,
Mm.
and both of you guys were able to purchase brand new bills. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
All right, all right. I love it. I love it. I love it. So let me ask you guys this, and I'm gonna let you tackle it how you guys want to tackle it, or who wants to say, who wants to speak first. So we had a couple of questions that were in the comments on tonight, right? Um, did you guys answer any of those? Because I didn't hear you all. Nobody said
Yeah.
anything. Okay, great. This question was, with the rates today, what's a good nest egg to have in the bank and credit score? PCS season is coming. Okay, we got some military on. So both of you guys, what would you say would be a good amount of money to have, you know, put to the side?
Well, it sounds like the military, so $3,000 would have been sufficient,
Mhm.
or sufficient, because I was pleasantly surprised in what I was able to get as perks.
Mm, Oh, that's good. That's good. What would you say, Walker family?
I would say for us, it was way less than 3,000. Way less. We came to the table paying $30 closing cost. So, but a good cushion, that would be definitely a good cushion because it depends on what you're purchasing. For a new build, we had incentives. So we didn't have to come out of pocket for, certain appliances or things of that nature. But it all depends on what you're getting, I would say.
I agree. I totally agree. I like to tell those that come in and they ask me about it, 3 to 5, I would say have to decide, but you don't necessarily need it or you may not use it. But I always say that because we have home inspections that I always suggest my clients do. And so home inspections is a fee. And then you have your earnest money deposit, and that is a fee. However, earnest money deposit goes into your loan. And so that is something that helps you out. So you really may not need at all that whole 3 or 5,000, but it'll be a good cushion. And think about it. If you don't have it, then when it's time and everything is done, then it's just time to go shopping. So, it's good to have. Next question is, I'm going to give this question. Well, both of you guys can answer it because you were VA. What should military families consider when buying a home if they may be PSing again in a few years? I'm going to give that one to Tremaine. Tremaine can answer that one.
Okay, well, definitely, if you know you're leaving the area, you want to make sure that where you're buying doesn't have a whole lot of, I guess, red tape with what you can and can't do there. So if your HOA is really strict, is it kid friendly? Especially if you're not bioschool or bioschool, you want to consider that as well. And then also, if it's not a new build, are you willing to get it up to par where it's just like ready for a new homeowner with the resources that you have? So if it's something that you can't like really pour into to make it that clean slate when you PCS, then you may want to consider a newer build if you're not trying to do that. Because I know for me, when looking at some of them older houses, I was like, this is not even ready for me to look at. So also with the location where it is, you want to make sure that if you are a military family and you want other military families to be looking at it, that it's accessible and like located in a centrally located place, things like that.
Good, good, good. I like that, Tremaine. I appreciate that. This is something that I can say that Tremaine does for a living. A lot of people that get out and get ready to move on from the military, she's usually the one that they go to. She was a chief in the military, and so she's used to questions like that. So if you're online and you're tuning in on tonight and you have those questions, we have somebody that's more than qualified to answer them on tonight. So with that being said, what was the most stressful part, guys, of the home
Whoa.
buying process?
Where do we start?
What was the most stressful part about it? What was the most stressful? I'll let you guys take that. Whoever
Want to
speaks
looking
first.
at those houses that was online and they want the way they that was the most stressful part. Because they was terrible once you got there. They was bad.
When he walks in the house and he's like, oh no, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris
One of the
kept
stairs
going.
was falling apart.
Yes,
And
we were standing there, and Chris was going from room to room, but his head was down like this, like he was trying to ponder, like, why does the place not look
it was
like
terrible.
the picture? Right, right. So, what was Adrian? What was your take on that side? What was the most stressful part for you?
It was the back and forth, the process that we went through, going back and forth with the builder and going back on their word, and we had to stand 10 toes with what we wanted, but they kept coming back and you know going back on their word, and I at some point I was just like, no.
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
this is it's getting a little crazy, but that's what I mean. It ended up working out in our favor, everything that we asked for, but it was just the unnecessary stress.
Mm, mm. And a lot of times, and it's business. Like, if they don't have to give it to you, then why should they give it to you? So it's almost like, I wouldn't say it's sad sometimes. You have to fight for what you want. However, if I didn't have to do that extra, then why should I do that extra? Because you guys did a whole 80, I mean, it was like 80 plus. uh I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot that you guys got out of this deal that was just crazy. It's like
Yes.
80 plus with upgrades, with everything you guys got for free. So, Tremaine, the same question to you. What was the most stressful part?
That P. Woo! Thank God we on Facebook Live. Working with a someone who wasn't working with me.
Mhm.
Saved a lot of time, effort, energy, and money. But yeah, that was the most stressful part because everybody that I talked to after dealing with that person told me I didn't have to do nothing of what he was telling me to do. And
Mm, mm, mm.
things could have looked a whole lot different. But I mean, in hindsight, it is what it is. I got it back with all the incentives and being where I wanted to be in a bigger, newer place than I, designed for. But I was really just, by the time I was talking to you that 56th time about him, I was going to be like, you know what? I'll just strike this again later because it was very stressful and it was unnecessary the way that everything went down. It was, yeah, that was very stressful.
I can totally agree. I can totally agree. And I can say that, Tremaine held it down because it could have been one of those things where she just said, just forget about it. That's how crazy the situation was. But she stayed in there and she kept her why before her. And I think that that is something that's very important when you go after your goals and go after things that you want to accomplish for yourself and your family, your legacy, your generation coming after you. I think that that's very important. And so both families held it down. And Adrian was a stickler and Tremaine was a stickler. It must be, y'all are from the house, Chris was in there. Chris was in there, but we were both trying to just keep Adrian cool. So, I think that it was an amazing experience. So let's Facebook is on fire tonight. I just want to say that. I know we had our own questions, but Facebook is on fire tonight, guys, which is amazing because I love it. I hope they're tagging and sharing with everyone that they know that want to buy a home because we are getting into the real on tonight. So this question is, what would you say? This is kind of like a lender question. What would you say your debt to income ratio needs to be? I think that I'm going to answer this question. Is that okay?
Yes.
Your debt to income ratio, it really depends on what you are going up for, the loan that you're going up for. So some loans or whatnot may say to you that your debt to income ratio has to be one number. But I have seen to where debt to income ratios may be like 40, as opposed to 50-50 or 60-40 or something like that. And you don't have to have a it depends on your loan. That's what I'm going to say. So that would be a great question for a lender. Once a lender goes in and see what you qualify for, then they're able to, I'm not going to say bend the rules on certain things, but a lot of times they know how to maneuver and get you where you need to be. If your debt to income ratio does need to come up, then they'll let you know where it needs to come up. If it doesn't, they'll tell you straight out front, you don't need to do nothing else. Don't open up now another nothing else. A lot of lenders sometimes will take the credits, that a seller may give you. That happened to both of my clients that are on here tonight. Will take those credits and begin to just do things, pay stuff off, and all of that. So that's a great question for a lender. Um, I'll be happy to connect you with one that could help you. Whoever had that question, I thank you for it on tonight. I hope we answered it to the best of our abilities tonight with mine. Next question for you guys. Would you rather buy a perfect house in an average area or an average house in a great area? I'll give that to Jermaine first.
Oh,
Would
Lord.
would you rather that perfect house just in an average area, or would you want an average house, just mediocre house, but in a great area?
Yeah, I have to have a great area. Yeah, I got a great area.
I like that.
'Cause you have to feel safe. You have to feel secure. Um, and you want to be able to go outside your house. Like, and the property value is also going to go up or down by the quality of what you're around as well.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, I need a great area.
Yes, yes, that's good. I almost know where the walkers are going with this one. But same question to you guys. Would you rather that perfect house in just a mediocre area or a average house in a great area?
Yeah, average house in a great area.
Okay. So you guys are rather the good area. I know we wanted the area where we can push strollers and everything, and not be running, from anybody or whatnot. So yeah, I would say too, I've seen a lot, with me being in real estate and in the industry, what I have learned, because if I could say myself, I've never really looked at schools or school zones for kids and for our children or anything. And since I've been in the industry, that's one thing that I've noticed that a lot of clients are they would rather a better school system than a home that is even updated. They don't even want it updated. They just want that school system. And so I think that a lot of people are turning more toward that average house in a great area. So that was a nice question. Thank you so much, whoever submitted that question on tonight. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Our next question that I have is, was there a moment when you wanted to give up? I think this goes probably around the stressor. How did you push through? In that moment where you just were about to say, forget this, maybe this is not even for me. How did you push through, Walker family?
Ooh.
Going to go see that house that was online.
Gosh.
uh, that was a big eye opener though. You going online and you searching for houses, and when you pull up there with the realtor, the house is raggedy, just tore up. That that right there made me want. No, I don't want to go look no more in no other house.
That was in the beginning.
Yeah.
That was in the sorry. That was in the can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That was in the beginning. I would say when things weren't going right with the builder, as far as compensation and things of that nature, I just was like, I don't know about this, and not necessarily the whole process, but maybe this builder, maybe this house. And there is plenty of times we came to this house so many times. We would just drive by, sit outside, and just admire it. And for how we push through it is we just left it in God's hands. Like, Lord, if this house is for us, then let this process go smoothly. And I think after that, after we kind of surrendered that to God, it just things that like all the hiccups, it just wasn't as stressful anymore. Like it was like, okay, well, all three of us, me, you, and my husband, were like, well, we're just going to give it to God because God has the final say. This is our house. This is what we want. So we just pushed through. We just did it.
Yes, I love it. I love that. Yes, even when the going gets tough, the tough get going, right?
Yeah.
That's what I heard. Y'all know I'm a little country, you all know. And I hear those country sayings. So, Jermaine, same question. What did you do to push through?
You know me. I called in reinforcement. But also, once I figured out and heard the words that I needed to hear in my hearing, I changed up my strategy. So I too was starting to go by the house and be like, you know what? One of these out here, I'm going to be living in.
Is
Yeah, yeah. So, Lord, I remember a rainy day and I was like, I don't do the rain. He was like, get out and walk around this place.
mm,
So I got out my car and I walked around the lake. I walked around the bridge, and then I walked around the area that was already complete because they still, where I'm living, wasn't even done yet. It was,
mm,
listen, whew, God is just giving me different revelations even now, right? But He said, walk around.
mm,
Around, it started raining. I was like, I got to get in this car because I don't do the rain. He was like, walk. So I just kept walking, and every step I took, He just kept telling me, you got to keep walking. And out of nowhere, y'all, this man appeared on the path in a wheelchair. And he looked crazy. So I was like, oh, Lord, you know me, what I'm reaching for. I'm like, what is going on? What's about to happen? But he looked me in my eye and he goes, you know, that's all he said to me. And then I kept walking. He did whatever he was doing. I turned around. He wasn't there. I said, am I crazy? What is happening? But that moment right there, plus sound, like words and wisdom in my ears, it really just it changed my whole like thought process about it. So when I went to talk to the ladies, I was like, yeah. So when I moved in, that's how I was talking. I was talking like it was already done. I'm
mm.
talking about everything that could go wrong, that didn't make sense, kept happening. But I was like, whatever. This I'm getting this one of these houses, and I got.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at with more. Listen, yeah, that was
So I can hear that both of you guys, both families, it was your faith that really helped you push through. Like you stood on your faith.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I love that. I love that. Once again, Facebook is on fire. If you already own but want to sell and buy a different home, what route would you recommend taking? Such
Ooh.
as list and look simultaneously or look then list. I think that this is another question for me on tonight. So, if you already own but want to sell and buy a different home, what route would you recommend taking? So, if you already own and you want to sell that house, then what you would need to do is, I would say you would have to get up with a lender first. Once you get with a lender, see where you are, even in your finances and everything, see where you are, then it's preparing you for the next home because you can list and be in the buying process as well. So you can be in the selling process and you can be in the buying process at the same time. Now it can get a little sticky because let's say you found a house, right? You found this house, you really love this house. You go in, you negotiate, you make an offer, you negotiate, everything is good. Your contract is ratified. Ratification means that both sides, buyer and seller, have came up with an agreement and we're going on with the contract for you to buy that property, okay? You would have to get the seller of that property to agree with the contingency of you buying their home based on you selling your home. So that'll be the contingency that you would have to go in and make sure that the seller of that home agrees to. That way you can go into that contract, but you can be under it at the same time. Now, what makes it sticky is what if you go in under contract for this house that you want and you tell them that it's based off of you selling this one, you have a whole time period on that, and someone comes in and your home is still on the market and it has not sold. It can get a little sticky because you have deadlines that you need to make. But let's say that your home gets under contract as well at the same time, and then that falls through. So it can be a very, very sticky situation. You can sell your home first and then go and find a temporary place to stay until you buy a home. So that is something that is totally up to the person that is in that process. Um, so such as list and look simultaneously or look and then list. So that all depends on the person because I've came across people that have honestly did too. They've done both sides. They've temporarily stayed somewhere else even after they sold their place, and then it really didn't take them long to buy another one. So it all depends on that person and it can be a very stressful thing. So I would leave that up to the person. I hope that that answered your question. Next question for you guys. How can a buyer tell if a neighborhood is improving versus declining? So I think that you all are giving realtor questions tonight. So I'm gonna I'm going to truck back around and answer that question from a realtor point of view, but I'm going to post it to my families on tonight about what would you say when you went to look for your home, both of you guys. We talked about areas, we talked about neighborhoods. What were some things that stuck out to you guys that would say this is a safe place for me to be? I know that I can't do the fair housing, say anything concerning it. You would have to look online to check the crime rate. So, did you guys go online to check for crime in that area, or did you circle back around to look? I know that both of you guys did, but what were some things that stuck out to say, okay, this might be a place that's safe for us and we would like to live here? I'm going to go with Tremaine first.
Oh yeah, I would like to see a multi-generational families in the area. So I want to also see what it feels like at night. I want to see what the morning traffic looks like. I want to see like how pedestrians can access the different like places around me. Um, and then also just like the accessibility of like getting to places Like Hampton Coliseum was something that I was like, is this going to cause an issue? But when I went during peak times when they had events, the traffic was not an issue in my area. So that's the things I look for because I always have different ages of children with me, and they definitely gonna be going outside. So I need to know, you know, look at them going outside, where we're gonna be, yeah. So that's what I look for.
Walker family, same question. What would you guys look for in a neighborhood? What made it seem like this was it? Like we can do some things here.
We might have two separate answers. I know mine is different. But one, they had sidewalks. That was big for me. But because we're newlyweds and are in the future, we would like to expand our family. For me, a neighborhood that was safe is if I feel safe enough to push a stroller in the neighborhood by myself. And so Chris and I would come and we would get out and just walk the neighborhood. We walked the trail and it just felt safe. And then also, they were building out here and there's sold signs everywhere. So
Just finished building.
yeah. She said one that just finished building. So that to us was like, okay, the neighborhood's coming up. Or it's nice. You see families walking around, walking their dogs, they're with their children, riding bikes. So it was it was a peaceful neighborhood. We just felt peace since the first time we came here.
Good, good. I like that. I like that. And so I personally do the fair housing. I can't say what is what when it comes to neighborhoods. I always tell my clients you would have to do your research. So that means whatever that looks like for you, drive around at night, come back on the weekends, especially, it's summertime right now, it's like hot girl summer outside. So on the weekends, you can drive by and especially at night and see, it'll always show you, or, you have to look it up on their crime websites. And so I give that information to my clients as well. So I hope that that was something, I hope that we answered your question. Whoever submitted that question, I can't stop smiling on tonight because Facebook is on fire on tonight with these questions, and I am loving it on tonight. So I know that we still have a couple of more minutes on tonight, families. So let me ask you guys this question. This is maybe like a good personal question, but a good feel good question. Who was the first person? I'm gonna give this to the Walker family. Who was the first person you called after closing?
Um, First Lady and Bishop. They was the first two people.
Okay, so your first lady and your bishop of your ministry,
Yeah.
Yes.
House of God Worship Center.
Yes.
Yes. Amen. So what about you, Tremaine? Who was the first person that you wanted to share this information with?
Same, my sister and first lady.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. And I know that they were too excited to hear the news. And it's always good to have that village and that community that's around you, that's pushing you. That's another thing to anyone that's tuning in on tonight. Your community and your support is everything because you just never know what you're going to face in the process. And you need someone that actually knows what's going on, what's happening, and can lead and guide you. And also, if faith is something that you're based off of, to pray for you and pray you through and push you through. And so that's a very important thing in the home buying process. I would say so, pretty much in anything that you do. But we're talking about home buying on tonight. So, what was your favorite part, Tremaine, about being a homeowner? What's your favorite part about that now?
Oh, I got a long list. Um, but every time I pull up to the house, it's like the first time. Like everything's so crisp and clean and fresh.
And new?
Mine. Like it's mine. Like it's yeah, I got a long list of everything that's just great, but the peace and the serenity I think is what is invaluable right now. Um,
Okay. Peace and serenity. I like that. The nice crisp smell when when you drive up and you roll in and everything. And yeah, I love it. I love it. It just puts you in another zone. I know it. I love smells. That's what I found out about both of my clients. They love smells as well. So it was nice. I'm not going to ask the walkers the same question. I'm going to ask you guys this. If you could go back to day one, what advice would you give yourself?
Mm.
If you
Mm.
could take it all the way back to day one, all of the things that you went through to buy the home. I think that we asked for a closing date that they usually don't even agree to outside of the terms, but they did. During those times, those couple of months, if you could go all the way back, guys, what would be something that you would have told yourself from day one? What advice?
Don't stress.
Yeah.
Don't don't stress about it, because it all worked out in the end. It's gonna work out. Like you said, anything that we asked for, they honored it, and it's a long list of that, which we'll get to, later. But yeah, just do it.
Hmm.
Even if you're scared, just do it.
Yeah.
I like that. I agree with that. Yes, I like that. What would you say, Tremaine, to that? Anybody tuning in tonight, what advice would you give yourself and to them?
Know what you want. Um, when you actually look at it, we have a lot more power than I thought. Everything that we asked for, they said yes, and like even stuff they weren't even supposed to. So I'm always gonna ask, just in general. But
Mhm.
if you're a person of faith, you definitely need to step into home ownership. Because think about that. You're paying, this is what burned me up. I paid somebody else's rent who was living overseas
Mm,
in a home that was beneath what I wanted to spend my money on.
Mm.
That kept me like, all right, girl, listen, get this done.
mm, I
Don't
love
want to be here. I
it.
don't want to be paying somebody else's mortgage. So, yeah, I would say definitely you have a lot more power than you think you do, and ask for what you want. Ask
Mhm,
because this is going to be yours. So
mhm.
to make sure it's at the value and the standard that you're willing to pay for. So you take care of it as well.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And I want to take it all the way back to piggyback off of what they're talking about tonight. They came in when the market was basically a buyer's market. Back when Adrian said timing is everything, timing is everything. It was a buyer's market back then. And when it's a buyer's market, you can pretty much ask, and I'm not going to say it's always happens. In their case, it always happened. But in a buyer's market, you can ask. And buyer's market is when you have more listings or homes that are on the market than are coming off of the market. So if you have a lot of sellers that are selling their homes, but the homes are not moving as fast at all, then we're in a buyer's market, meaning these buyers can come in, buy a home, ask for what they want to ask for, and because the sellers have been sitting for a little while, they go ahead, they give them, I can't say that it's all the time, I have to say that, but they oblige. And that's the best thing about being in a buyer's market when you are a buyer. It's not so good on the seller's end, but it's good on that buyer's end. And so, again, timing is everything. Timing is everything. Okay, so I'm going to ask these two questions. Somebody Somebody said, and this is for the walkers, someone said, how did you come to the table with $30?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Builder credits.
Yeah.
Just all the closing. It was, we used, VA loan. So, most of the time it's zero down. But we had a lot of included in the incentives, a lot of builder credits. And so what they did is they used all that to buy our rate down. They used They used it to pay their, I think, our HOA for 6 months to a year. And so they tried to use all of it. And what ended up happening is they used it in our favor. So we came to the table, we had to come out our pocket with $30. And I'll take that over 3,000,
Over in it, yes,
Yeah.
any day, yes. So they used when it came to the buyers. I'm just going to elaborate a little bit more. They, as Adrian said, they had credits, and what that means is they went in to buy a new build, and because they used the builder's lender, they were able to get incentives, and their incentives was using a VA loan, they don't have to have a down payment, but they still have closing costs. They have a lot of closing costs. And the buyer was helping in those closing costs, more so 16,000. And then the lender gave money. And then they got money for being military. And so when you have all of those incentives, it takes care of your closing costs. And the lenders, when you have a good lender and a good realtor on that end to make sure they're using those credits the way it needs to be used and they're looking out for you, then they will use those credits until they are gone. And so the only thing that they had left was the $30. Yeah, so yeah, we have to say about that. It was a whole lot. I won't get into all of that because that's their testimony. But here's another question. If you want a home out in the country, custom built way out in the middle of nowhere, laughing out loud, what would be your suggestion in starting the process? This is a
Mm.
realtor interview on tonight. So this is what I would say. You will get on the hunt for your land in the middle of nowhere. This is free tonight. Depends on where they have land at. I know right now there's 7 acres out in Gloucester right now for like $60,000. So
Mm.
I would say that you will go out and you will do your research on where the land is. Now, if you're somebody that's not really good at doing research, then you go and get an expert such as myself that can do that and can go out and find that for you on the MLS or wherever it may be. You can also use other platforms like Zillow, Redfin, all of those. I like rain.com because they update quicker than Zillow. And so what I would say is if you know where you want to buy that land out in the middle of nowhere, then you look in those areas for that land that is for sale. And once you find what you're looking for, then you can contact that listing agent. If you don't have representation, if you don't have a realtor, you contact that listing agent and you can go in as an unrepresented buyer. However, that listing agent on the other end does not have to have your best interest in heart. They will do the paperwork, but that don't mean that you get what you are promised to get on that end because you don't have any representation. So I would always say get an expert, get representation, and then look in those areas. And so I'm going to answer, what are the advantages of selling during a seller's market? And can everyone get credits? Okay, so some of the advantages in a seller's market. Let's say that and you're buying a home and it's a seller's market. When it's a seller's market and you're buying a home, you're going to need to have, how can I say this? You're gonna need to have some firepower behind you. One of the advantages is when you get ready to buy your home, let's say that if it's a seller's market, you're looking at going up against other offers. You're going up against multiple offers. That's a seller's market. That means that our inventory of homes do not add up to as many buyers that are out there. So you're gonna come up against multiple offers. When you come up against multiple offers, meaning you put an offer in, they could have two more offers. The advantage of being in a seller's market is you have to be structured and positioned correctly. I had a client, we were going in, it was a seller's market per se. We were on the verge, but we went in. They were structured, they were positioned correctly, meaning they had no problems with their loan. They needed like no like when it comes to like closing costs or anything. They really didn't need any of that. So I don't, in a seller's market, the only way that I'm not going to say only because then that puts me in one plane. But in a seller's market, the advantage could be when you go up against those multiple offers, you're structured in a way that you can beat out those other offers. If you're able to beat out those other offers, then that's an advantage in the seller's market. It's hard in a seller's market, but it's not something that can't be done. Because if you're situated, I'll give an example, and I feel like I'm rambling, but I just want to make sure that you understand what I'm saying. I'll give an example. You have a house that's on the market, let's say $200,000. You go in with your $200,000 offer. If we're in a seller's market, you're going to need to be at the top with your offer. You can't come in. I'm not going to say you can't. You can, but it will behoove you if there's multiple offers, and your realtor will know this if they do their homework, that you come in top. Your offer needs to be top. They don't need to look at any other offer. There are ways that you can situate that, meaning your realtor be on the other end asking the listing agent, what are your sellers looking for? That way, your offer can be based off of what the sellers are looking for so that you can give that upper hand. I'm giving away some secrets on tonight. I ain't mean to dig off into that, but I just wanted to make sure that you understood like what are some advantages of buying, in a seller's market. It seems that I'm telling you guys, they're off the chain. Okay, here go a good one for buyers. Um, and it says, can everyone get credits? Everybody, if you're going into a new build, you're subject to the credits if you use their lender. Now, if you come in and it's a buyer's a buyer's market, Tremaine is laughing because it was a buyer's market. And so they may not have been selling like they were. And then their lender really dropped the ball. And so that opened up a kick door for us. So I went in swinging. Listen, your lender couldn't do it. We're bringing in, Tremaine say, I have this, and this. I let them know we're bringing in our own lender. Okay. They obliged. I'm telling y'all, it had to be prayer because a builder does not do that. You have to use their lender if you want incentives. If you want those credits and everything, you have to use their lender. And so that was a good thing. And that's her testimony that you guys made me tell on tonight. Okay. Let's stick to this now. What made the buyers, this is for you guys, and this is going to be our last question before I go into our announcements. What made the buyers choose a new build versus an older home? What was the determining factors? I think that the Walkers may have hit on this a little bit because I'm going to let Chris go on. I know what he's going to say. But what made you go new build as opposed to an older home? What were the determining factors? Walker family first.
Um, the older homes was actually pretty nice. They was actually pretty nice. It was, but even though not minding the work that you had to put in to make the house, look the way you wanted to look, it wasn't that bad. But just going and you going and you actually seeing like the neighbor, like you said, in the neighborhood. Can you go outside? Can you have your kids out there? A lot of the neighborhoods was actually pretty okay. Um, it was a lot older, so you knew it wasn't gonna be no upgrading going on there. So that wasn't. But yeah, just I think the new build is probably the best choice for us.
Mm,
After going and seeing how the other homes was taken care of, or how they look.
mm.
We
Mhm.
wanted to, uh, for us, for our lifestyle, we wanted to cut down on stress of getting in there and having to do so much work to something. And it'd be nice to make it our own. But same thing with the new build. You come in, things are brand new. That's what I like, the new smell. Um, but yeah, and then also once they told us about the incentives, it was a yes for us.
Yes, I'm talking about washer, dryer, refrigerator, everything.
Yeah.
Yes. Timing, buyer's market. I love it. I love it. What would you say, Tremaine? What made you go new build as opposed to something you had to renovate, older home?
It was important to me that everything was new. Yeah, I was in this like transition of like really shedding anything that was old.
Mm.
Stepping into this was just like a prophetic promise, and it was like the last icing on the cake that just nailed this promise to the cross. So everything new, she got everything new.
Yes, I love it.
So yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And one thing too about their new builds, I always tell people do their research on the builder. And both of my clients did their research on the builder. So you're able to look it up, see where they are building at. What are the reviews on it? Because we bought a new build and I'm just going to leave it at that. So let's just do your research. I tell anyone that's coming in to buy, you want to do your research, see what the review says about that builder. I really loved both builders that they have. They have different builders, and I really enjoyed what they brought to the table as opposed to the quality of their work. And so just do your research about it, do your research. So I'm gonna take a quick minute and I'm gonna do our announcements. And once we come back, we're gonna have our closing remarks by both of our guest speakers on tonight. I'm going to lend the floor to them and they'll be able to give you more. So for announcements on tonight. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. for Jumpstart and Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. as we continue to pray without ceasing. That's our Jumpstart prayer time in the mornings, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We invite you to join us each Tuesday night at 7 p.m. for our midweek impartation. The topic is breaking barriers to spiritual growth. Meet us at 2510 Build America Drive in Hampton. We invite you to join us for Communion Sunday on this Sunday. We'll be remembering his sacrifice this Sunday, July the 5th at 11 a.m. at 2510 Build America Drive. Hope to see you there. House of God Worship Center presents prayer nights. I'm excited about our mid-merger consecration that'll be taking place on July the 16th and the 17th. We'll be at 7 p.m. We'll be at 2510 Build America Drive. Our guest intercessors will be Pastor Keith Smith Jr. and Pastor Latasha McHenry. Please see our app for more information. We also have flyers going out on our page as well, House of God Worship Center. Last and final announcement, House of God Worship Center presents Road Trip on the Go with God. Please mark your calendars for our 2026 annual Youth Summit. That's right. The kids are hanging around between the days of July 27th and July 31st. Sign them up and register them for our up and coming Youth Summit. 6 to 8 p.m. nightly at 2510 Build America Drive. Very safe environment where they'll be learning about the Lord, and it'll give your kids something to do for this summer and as we enrich them. So I'm excited about that as well. I think I'll be participating as well. So I'm excited about that. So ways to register. You can find it on our app, House of God Worship Center app, and also on our House of God Worship Center Facebook page. There's a link for you to register. If you have any problems, just reach out to us. Just send us a message. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to our guest speakers on tonight to give their final remarks to those that are looking to buy a home. Anything that you want to say on tonight to those people, I turn it over to you guys.
Don't stop looking. When you go online and you see them pictures. Nah,
I'm
just
tickled.
stay encouraged and just keep looking. Don't stop until you find what you want.
I I would advise shopping around early. What we did is we this is just what me and him like to do is look at neighborhoods. So we did that a year in advance just to see what neighborhoods we like. So when it did come down to the home buying process, at least it took away the over like whelming feeling of there's so many houses. But if it wasn't in the area that we liked, we didn't move forward on it. And then also look at your contract. Please look at the contract because there is plenty of times they would send the contract to me and I'm texting Pastor Charlene and I'm like, look, the money's not adding up. It's not right. This is what they have in there. And she's like, it would have got to me and I would have looked at it, but look at the contract because there's a couple of times we had to call them out on moving with integrity. And that was big for us. So if it doesn't feel right, we're just not doing it. But definitely look at your contract. And then the last thing is what Evangelist Tremaine was speaking on. Don't be afraid to speak up and ask for what you want. Negotiate. And because the worst that they can say is no. And in our case, everything we asked for, it was a yes across the board. That went from moving the closing date, extending that for us, honoring the appraisal, which came on, $11,000 less than what they were asking for the home. And they honored that. Honoring the realtor compensation from base price to purchase price, keeping the schedule on the closing date because they wanted to move the closing date. And it's just, go to them. And there's a lot of times, and get you a realtor like Pastor Charlene, because when I tell you she is a real one, there's plenty of times where we were in the building office and they would say one thing. And as soon as we left, she's like, okay, she's giving us advice and guidance and encouragement. And she's like, ultimately, I work for you. And so we didn't seem like just numbers to her. It was dealing with somebody who actually cared. And so I definitely advise, get you a realtor like Pastor Sterling because she's a real one.
That wasn't scripted, y'all.
No.
It wasn't scripted. I'm holding myself together tonight. Thank you for your kind words. That wasn't scripted. Tremaine.
Yeah, I definitely echo what you all brought up. But for the person that's like on the fence, you need to talk to people who are licensed professionals. You people in your family that ain't got no real estate, so you will never buy a house. Talk to the person that's licensed. So if you're not talking to a professional, you won't get the quality service. Like, because her Charlene knows stuff that I was like, let's hear. She know. I'm like, look, what does this mean? Why is this like this? Because me, if you tell me it's $15, then I want to pay $12 for it. Okay. So talking about what's negotiable, what is in my power to speak on, what can I have? Because initially for me starting this process, y'all, I was looking way beneath where I ended up because of just not knowing the industry, not knowing like the paperwork and like your rights as a buyer. But also, if you're a veteran, there's certain benefits that they're not going to tell you about. You have to ask for them to take care of you. So don't just assume because you're a veteran that they're going to take care of you, because no, they're actually going to look for ways to look for them. So I really hope that if you're on the fence that you talk to a professional. Like even lenders, different lenders are going to give you different answers according to what their network needs, not what you need. They work together. They move in groups. So if you don't know that, then your strategy will be off. So that's there's so much I learned in this process. We didn't have enough time to really get into like a lot of things, but work with a professional. I cannot say that enough. I can't say it loud enough. Like, and if you're a faith person, work with a faith professional. I'm not mincing my words. If you say you kingdom, you need to be working with a kingdom professional and when you do business. So that's my take, and I'm happy.
Yes.
I'm happy.
I'm so glad. I'm glad to hear it. I want to say thank you to you guys so much for your time. I want to say thank you to our leaders, Bishop Gary T. Rogers and Pastor Lisa Rogers, for giving us this opportunity tonight to come forth on Facebook Live and to give this information and to give such this was real tonight. This was real tonight. That's all I can say. And it wasn't scripted. And I appreciate you guys for taking out the time to allow me to interview you on tonight. Thank you, Bishop, and thank you, First Lady. I want to say that the hub, we're going into our summer months, and so the hub, we usually do the hub every month. So our next hub, we take August off for summer break. I know that hit your heart real heavy, on tonight, that next month there will be no hub. However, if you come back, when you come back in September, we're still hitting it as hard as we've been hitting it for months and for years. And so I just want to let you know our next hub will be scheduled in September. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on tonight. Continue to share this hub and continue to get the word out. Thank you again. Have an amazing Friday and an amazing holiday. Thank you guys. Good night.